Well, lads, welcome back to On the Case. We're now on season 2, episode 3, and I'm on my own today, so I'm feeling a bit nervous. The last 2 weeks, I've had a little crutch to lean on. I had Clodagh the first week, and then I had Ava, and I have this thing when I'm filming or recording the podcast that I'm like panicking that it's like shit. But then afterwards, I actually listened back to both podcasts, obviously, and I actually really enjoyed them. I was listening to me and Ava's one yesterday, and even though I knew what we were going to talk about, like I was actually like hysterical laughing. You might know that I'm just back from Spain. I was there for a week with Uncle Pat. If you're not familiar, Uncle Pat is my boyfriend. There's a lot of confusion on TikTok as to why I call him Uncle Pat, and it just kind of started because we went to a wedding together in like June. It's actually Dave that I work with's wedding, and I posted my very first photo with him, and someone screenshot it and put it up on TikTok on a fake account and was like, oh my God, I think this is her new boyfriend. And I was like, in the comments, no, that's literally my Uncle Pat. Like, what do you mean? So then people just kind of clung on to that. And even though Uncle Pat is younger than me, people still think it's my uncle. There's a whole confusion going on. But yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, you're getting the inside info and the clarification that it is actually my boyfriend. So how did our first holiday together go? It went very well. I left it a bit of suspense there. No, it went very well. It was very, very chill. Every single day was the exact same. We literally got up. Well, I got up first, did my sun cream, made my TikToks, did my get ready with me's. That took about an hour. And then we'd either go to the pool, the beach, get lunch. We literally chilled out all day long, in and out of the water. Then we'd go back to the room, get ready, go for food, ice cream, cocktails. It was literally like a copy and paste of every single day, but it was just so nice. I feel like I really needed a break. Now, you probably think a break, you posted 20 times a day on TikTok, but I didn't vlog the trip, and I feel like I'm always vlogging. I did post like a recap of the whole week, but there's no like talking or no like sound, so it actually was a nice little break. Uncle Pat did have to upgrade to my photographer though. As you know, I'm in love with my Canon G7X, my camera. That was €900. It's hard to take a bad photo on that, like, because it's so good. So Uncle Pat was tormented all week to take my bikini pictures and my outfit pictures. But I've upgraded my wardrobe, guys. I was wearing mostly white fox for the whole holiday, and I feel like people always complain about my outfits on TikTok, but this holiday, no one complained about my outfits. So I'm moving up in the world. Now, of course, there's always a bit of drama. Uncle Pat and I, obviously, you're together the whole week, 24/7. It's probably the longest we've spent together without a break. Like, because obviously we do have sleepovers nearly every night, but like I'd go to work, he'd go to work. So did we have any arguments? We had 2 that stand out to me, and you'll get the inside info on the podcast as to what they were about. So the first one, we went to Burriana Beach, it was called, nearly every day, and he told me you need to book the sunbeds a day in advance. And I was like, you don't book sunbeds on a beach, like they're just there and you go up and you pay. And he was like, I'm telling you, it's really busy, you need to book the sunbeds. And I was like, okay. So I went down to the beach one of the days at about 12 o'clock, went up to the fellas that you pay, and they were like, no, we're full for the full day. And I was like, right, okay, he was right. Let it slide, and we'll just lie on the sand like peasants for the day. So I said to him, look, go up and book one for tomorrow, so at least we know we have one. So they had like the generic, just like normal sunbeds that you lie on, but they also had like the fancy ones, the ones that have like cushions and like a curtain that goes around them. And I thought they were going to be like, I don't know, like €100 or something, but we looked it up online, they're only €22. And I was like, that's a bargain. So I was like, you go up to your man now at 1 o'clock, that's when you're allowed to book for the following day, and tell him we want the fancy bed for tomorrow, and that's just going to be it. So he goes up anyways, and he comes back down. I just knew by his face something went wrong, and he was like, look, I've booked it. I showed him the picture, and he said we're sorted. But he didn't really have much English, so I don't think he understood, but I did show him a picture. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound too confident. It's kind of like one of those things where if you want something done right, do it yourself. But I kind of have anxiety, so I let Uncle Pat take over that kind of thing. So the following day, we get to the beach bright and early. We get brought over to our bed, and sure enough, it's not the fancy bed. It's the 2 little like sun loungers, which is fine. Like, it's not the end of the world, but I just had it in my head that I was going to get this lovely fancy bed with these curtains. And I don't tan, as you can probably see if you're watching on YouTube. I've came back actually paler. I just have a load of freckles. So I was very upset because I was going to have to lie in the sun all day. I know, going to Spain lying in the sun, shocking. So I had to go then and buy like a towel to like hang up off the umbrella to block the sun. So like, that's not even an argument, but I did get a bit like just like I was nitpicking at him because I was like, why didn't you just book the right bed? Da-da-da. Anyway, so that was the first argument. We ended up booking a fancy bed for the following day, and everything was fine. Second argument, this one is so ridiculous. So there's a fella on, it's called The Balcon. It's like a big balcony, and it like looks out onto the sea, and there's loads of restaurants. He does caricatures, and he's there like 40 years. Like the drawings that you get done, and like you look kind of funny. So I said to Uncle Pat, I want to get one for the end of the week. but he always had a really long queue. So we went one night and we queued up and we sat down to get one anyways. And coincidentally, some fella who does TikTok, he's like, I don't know where he's from, but he's not from like Ireland. He travels around like the world doing TikToks, and he just happened to be there and recorded us getting our caricature done, but in like fast motion. So like a 15-minute video was like condensed into like 10 seconds. So when we were finished, he came up to us and he's like, oh, I actually took a video of you and I got your reaction when they turned it around and showed it to you. And I was like, oh my God, ideal. Because that was the one day I was vlogging on holidays and I was like, oh my God, could you please send it to me so that I can put it in my vlog or whatever. So Uncle Pat was like, oh yeah, here's my Instagram. Gave your man his Instagram. And I was like, in my head, if you do content or you do social media, you know, if you send a video on Instagram, it's going to be blurry, okay? It's not going to be high quality. I wanted it airdropped to me there and then, or I wanted it like WhatsApp HD'd to me. But it all happened so quickly, and Uncle Pat just took charge and got the video, and I was like, are you dumb? I was like, that is going to be blurry. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, it's not going to be HD. And he was like, Kasey, I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, he doesn't have a social media content brain like I do, or a psychotic brain like I do. So I was like, I was going crazy. I was like, are you dumb? Why wouldn't you just let me take charge of the situation? When it comes to content, just let me do it. And oh my God. He was like, Kasey, that was a coincidence that he was there videoing. Like, that was meant to be like a little cute, like, caricature moment. That was a bonus. We got the video. And I was like, yeah, but if it's blurry, there's no point of using it, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we both just got a bit salty, but it was grand. I feel like that was on our last night. So, like, after like a week together, obviously, you know, you're going to bicker a little bit, but it was grand. On this holiday, you might have seen, if you were watching my TikToks, I did get Uncle Pat in them. It's kind of weird because me and Uncle Pat have been going on for quite a while, but I didn't tell you. I still haven't like delved into that. I don't know if I ever will, but I decided I wasn't posting them on social media just because I've seen how other online relationships have gone, and also I love you all, but you get invested. So I'd be afraid, like, if I didn't post them for like 2 days, you'd be like, what's going on? And the day we went to that wedding, I was like, I'm never posting you anywhere. But I just decided that the day of the wedding to post the photo. Anyways, he was in like 99% of my TikToks on that holiday. And I feel like this man, he can do no wrong. You all love him. He never stops smiling. He doesn't get any hate whatsoever. All my comments were like people being like, oh my God, like, what's Uncle Pat's at? Like, we're all looking for his Instagram. Guys, Uncle Pat is not single. I hate to break it to you. He's actually my boyfriend, okay? But yeah, you all love him. And yeah, he everyone's always texting me being like, does he ever like frown? Is he ever in a bad mood? He doesn't know what anxiety is. Like, can't relate. Can you imagine not knowing what anxiety is? But yeah, that's kind of the recap of our week. It was a lovely little recharge. Do we vetting coming up? Not really. Well, this weekend I have the Stellar Awards. If you're watching this, they've already happened. Hopefully I've won. Guys, if I lose one more newcomer award, I'm actually retiring. I'm not even going to ask you to vote for me because it's going to be too late. But yeah, hopefully it'll be good. There's loads of people in my category as well that deserve to win. I actually love everyone in my category. Olivia Spuds is in it. Shane McCarthy's in it. Danielle Collins, like loads of my friends. So I don't really mind who wins. I just can't wait to dress up. My dress is gorgeous. It's purple. It's sparkly. It's literally me in a dress. I'm getting my hair done by the same girl that done my hair for the Gossies. And I'm trying to get the same girl that done my makeup. But I don't really know. Other than that, I don't really think that far ahead, guys, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, that is my recap for this week. Okay, guys, so this week's main topic, I feel like ever since I've started my own radio show, I've been getting so many questions about like my job, my career, how did I get here, what did I do in college, because a lot of people like tend to think that because I do TikTok I just got thrown like hand on my own radio show. Like I was in DCU the other day doing like little interviews with Pure Power. They're like the ready meals that I eat, and one of the students came up to me and I could tell he was kind of sussing me out. He was like, oh, so like do you do TikTok? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, how many followers do you have? Are you famous? And I was like, well, depends what your definition of famous is, but I've about nearly 150,000. And he was like, all right, and any college degree? Like kind of sussing me out to see if I went to college. Not that you have to go to college, but I feel like a lot of people think, well, like, are you just being handed all this? So I said, oh yeah, did media and marketing in Maynooth. But anyway, a lot of you asked me on my TikTok lives, in my DMs, in my comments, how did you get here? What did you do? Did you always know you wanted to do this? So to be honest, not really. When I was younger, I wanted to be Katy Perry. Which is funny because I'm actually going to see Katy Perry in a couple of weeks with my friend Dervla. You might remember she was on season 1 of the pod when we were doing the dating episode. She was on First Dates and all that. So yeah, when I was in primary school, I was like, I'm being the next Katy Perry. I actually went to a recording studio and recorded part of me, and I was like, this is going to be my career. Your man in the recording studio was telling me I have this amazing husky voice and I was going to be a pop star. Never happened. Then when I went to secondary school, I actually kind of wanted to be a guard for a while. I think it's because my granddad was high up in the guards. My dad is a guard. And I remember in TY for our careers class, we had to do like a presentation of what we wanted to do. And I did this big thing about the guards. But then when it came to actually going to college, would you believe I went to BIM, you know, like that music college, and I did an audition? That's like a singing musical college, and I got in, but I just thought, like, where am I going to go with this? I'm an average singer. Like, I can sing, but I'm never going to be like a professional singer. So I was like, what's the point of going to college for this? And I also kind of wanted to have like the like quote unquote normal college experience. Like BIM is a university, but it's obviously very music-y and stuff. I wanted to just go to like a regular college. So I was like to my mom, literally the day before the CAO, like, what am I going to do? She's worked in Virgin Media for 25 years, originally TV3. So she was like, look, just put down media. It's really broad. At this point, I didn't even do social media. Like, I obviously posted on my own Instagram, but I didn't, like, I don't even think TikTok was a thing when I was in sixth year. Or maybe it was just kind of coming about. So I was like, right, grand, put it down. It was quite low points. I think the points were like 317. Which I kind of knew I was going to get above because I was such a genius. No, I'm joking. So I ended up getting like 440. So I was luckily like way above what I needed. Now I could have done multimedia in DCU, but I was like, why would I hike to DCU when I could basically do the same course in Maynooth, which was only like 20 minutes for me? So I put down media and marketing in Maynooth, and luckily I got in. Now, like most of you who are probably in college or going into college or thinking, what am I going to do? As I was going to each lecture, I was enjoying it, but I was thinking, what am I going to do with this? I remember the owner of Her Sport came in to give us a talk. She had done like a similar course. I think she'd done communications, and she was telling us that she started up hersport.ie and like all her achievements. And I was sitting there in this careers class being like, what am I going to do with this course? So for people that are interested in media, I feel like a lot of people are. It's kind of one of those courses now that everyone kind of wants to do because it's so broad and there's so many avenues you can go into after. Because I suppose if you do like teaching, obviously you need to be a teacher, or if you do like science, you're going to work in a lab. Media is so broad. So what I enjoyed about my course, and you're always asking me what was actually in my course, we actually had a podcasting module, which is quite fitting as I'm literally speaking to you right now on my podcast. We also had a radio module, which I really, really enjoyed. I actually liked the marketing module. So obviously the marketing was a lot more theory. Like, I don't want to sit here and say the whole course is like really, really fun. There's obviously a lot of theory and a lot of actual like books and stuff you have to read, but a lot of it was practical. So I got to make a documentary in first year. I actually must share it and show it to you. So my brother Jody, when he was born, he had this thing called bilateral talipes. It's where your 2 feet are like fully turned in. Like, my mom used to call them chicken feet. And he obviously now plays football. So like when he was born, they were like, he's never going to be able to play football. He's never going to be able to walk. So yeah, I made a whole documentary on that when I was in first year. And like, obviously I was only like 18, but it actually turned out really, really well. So really enjoyed that. Then parts of the course I didn't like, because obviously I have to be truthful with you. It's not all rainbows. So we'd have to do coding. I despised coding. It was so difficult. Obviously I got the hang of it. I actually ended up doing really well in the exams for it, because I think my neighbour, RIP, we're not friends anymore. I've always said I'm going to tell that story, but I still haven't. Yeah, my neighbour of like 20 years, we're not friends anymore. He done coding and computer science in college. He actually helped me, which was really good. And then we done, oh my God, I didn't even know what this module was called, right? It was part of the business course. We had to come up with like an airplane simulator, okay? And you had to basically run your own airline and like figure out what money you needed and where you were going to put different funds into and how you were going to run your own airline. It was the most confusing thing I ever done. I was in a group for it though. That's the good, like, there's good and bad parts about media and marketing. You do a lot of group work, but you could end up being in a bad group. Actually, I'm going to whip out some receipts here. So in my radio module, okay, I remember doing a group project, and I whipped this up this morning, right? This is from the 17th of March, 2021. I done a group project. Paul, can I read this out?
Kasey.
I'm not outing anybody.
What's that?
It's a WhatsApp message from when I did a group project and nobody would do the work, so I called them out in the group
Are you
chat.
naming and shaming people by name?
No, I'm going to say blank.
I'm happy for you to go ahead, Kasey.
Okay, brilliant. So, hey guys. So I have finished and submitted both the radio programme and the 500-word reflection with the help of blank. Blank edited it and added to the reflection. I'm just wondering, at blank and at blank how you were both okay with not communicating in this group chat in any way at all since the 10th of March. Like, this was originally due on Friday, and I made it clear on a Wednesday that I'd be recording it on Thursday, and there was also a 500-word reflection to be done. I thought because I was recording it and blank was editing it, at least one of you would offer to even contribute to the reflection, and unfortunately this did not happen. I made the reflection available to you on the Teams page and nothing was added to it. I just find it baffling that you, blank, have literally not even opened this group chat since the 10th of March. Just beyond ignorant and rude, to be honest. I work 5 days a week as well as college, and I appreciate we're all busy at this time, but not even opening the group chat for a group project and expecting someone else to do it all. Also, blank, I appreciate you joined the one group call we had and we spoke, but after that there wasn't much communication. Either with you not reading any messages in this group, even though it was due today. Any voice messages I've sent in this group chat were ignored, and I can see who's played them and who's ignored them, and blank was the only one to even listen to any. I just find the whole thing extremely unfair and honestly don't understand how you expect it to do well. Also, in our classes, every Thursday I was usually the only one who attended, and our lecturer would always ask me questions about the group and I'd never even know what to say. She also gave us time to work on our projects during class, and none of you were ever there, but look, it's submitted now, let's see what happens. So yeah guys, I've been calling people out from day one. So that's something to note. If you're like, I can't really, like, every course has group work, but often you'll get groups that don't want to do anything. So just beware of that. When it got to final year of my course, I don't know if it's still the same in Maynooth, I presume it is, you had an option to do a dissertation, make an app in a group, or do a short film in a group. I just decided I'm traumatized from group work. I'm going to do the dissertation. That's basically a thesis. And funnily enough, at the time, I was not an influencer. I didn't do social media, but I decided I wanted to do my thesis on influencing. So my first idea was to do it on how do influencers make money, but my thesis supervisor said it was too vague of a question. So why don't I do it on, like, how is influencing an actual job? And I would love to post this somewhere, because the amount of abuse we get that it's not a real job. I managed to write 10,000 words on this. There was so many articles to back it up, and also got a first in my dissertation. So there you have it, people. You might be sitting here going, the same as me, what job can you get out of doing media? It's so broad. Obviously, I've gone into radio. I do social media now as my other job, so it really worked out for me. So I've got Podcast Paul here. I'm going to put him to some good use for once. So you've worked in media for quite a long time.
I've worked in media since 2007, 2008. I studied Spanish at college, but I always wanted to get into the media. And in my last year at college, I did 2 internships back to back full time. So when I left college, I was good to go. So I worked as an intern in a cinema, helping run their film festivals, all their premieres. And then after that, I moved to London for a year, worked in a film distributor, doing all their marketing and press as an intern. Then I moved back to Scotland, got a full-time job in a cinema running their education department, doing filmmaking with young people, but also organising film premieres. And then from that, I did that for 4 years. Then I moved into TV, and I worked in TV as a freelance TV director, directing programmes for the BBC and RTE and Amazon. And then now I'm in podcasts, because everyone's watching podcasts.
So did you, like, enjoy all of that, or were you doing that knowing, like, you have to graft to get to your end goal kind of thing?
It took a bit longer than it probably should have, but then also had the pandemic, which kind of put things on pause. I think when you work freelance, you have to jump about and be able to do anything, because you have bills to pay. So you can't be too fussy, but you have to understand that every job's like a stepping step to the next step. So some jobs are more exciting than others. Some jobs are more overwhelming, a lot more stress, but they look great in your CV. I worked on Antique Road Trip for BBC for 6 months. Hate every minute of it. But every time I went for an interview, that's all people wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I've done a lot of quiz shows here in Ireland, did a lot of social media, met your mum.
I was going to say, yeah, Paul actually worked with my mum on a show before.
So yeah, the social media job was very random, bizarre. I was chasing celebrities backstage for like interviews, like Jojo Siwa. But it was great because it was something different on my CV. And
what was that show again? Name that tune.
Name that tune. Don't forget the lyrics. Beat Shazam. They're all filmed in Bray. Jamie Foxx, if you ever see him in Dublin, he's doing a quiz show. I've done like true crime, I've done dating shows, I've done cooking shows, I've done antique restoration. I think it's just being open-minded to what opportunities are and what it will take you. You don't know where it's going to take you, but sometimes you have to say yes to things you don't really want to do because it'll benefit you later on.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying is media is so varied. Like, obviously, there's nothing wrong with these kind of jobs, but if you work in a 9 to 5, or if you're a teacher, or if you're a guard, not that you're going to have the same day every day, but media, there's so many random things that get thrown at you. Like, if you watch any of my vlogs, you'll see my weeks are just crazy. But I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. I got back from holidays and everyone was like, oh, are you dreading going back to work? I was like, work? I sit in the studio and talk for a living. It's the best thing ever. So yeah, hopefully we've given you some of the positives. The negatives, the negatives are like, maybe if you're freelance, like Paul was saying, maybe work's not guaranteed all the time.
It's been on set for like 14 hours and you're standing about, nothing to do, but you can't go home because you're waiting for someone to get their makeup and hair and makeup and they're not ready.
By my mother.
Or you're stuck in a car driving across the country with someone who's quite boring and you ran out of things to talk about, but you had to go away to film someone. And yeah, there's a lot of, I think people think working in creative media industry is quite glamorous, and it's actually, a lot of it's quite boring and hard work and long hours, and the money is good, but then you might be unemployed for 2 months, so that money disappears quick. So I think if you're going to work in the media, you have to understand that you can't all be Kasey Campion.
Yeah, guys, I'm a millionaire. Like, I'm rolling in the cash.
But there's loads of jobs behind the scenes. So
yes,
marketing and media, or radio marketing, promo team, there's, I think, try and look for the steps to get in rather than expect to be direct on a TV program straight away, because that's not going to happen. You have to have shown the graft, and sometimes the graft can be quite demoralizing. Speaking
of the graft, will I go into my radio life?
Yeah, go and tell us, how did you get your radio show?
Oh, guys, I just love talking about this so much. So as I said, I didn't always know I wanted to be in radio, but I did do work experience in FM 104 and the Guards, funnily enough, in transition year. And I actually really enjoyed both. But from then on, I was like, I did really like the radio part. And then, as some of you may know, I moved to Portugal and worked in a bar for a couple of weeks after college and after my breakup, just to get away from Ireland for a bit. But when I came back, something in me was like, apply for a job in F104. Just apply. So you might know Crossy. He's on the breakfast show here. He actually knew my mom from working in Virgin Media, and he gave her a load of emails for me. And I, looking back now, the confidence I had, I was just emailing random people who work in here, who are high up. Sasha, actually, who is the executive producer of this podcast, I emailed her when I was a little nobody with no experience, being like, hey, I'd love a job. Are you crazy? So then a fella I knew, a family friend, actually worked on the promo team here, which is the street team. You see going out to the events and giving out the sweets and giving out the merch and just meeting the listeners. And the big road hog that F104 has, they work basically at that, at all the events. He told me he was doing that, and I was like, oh my God, that is literally my dream. So I applied for that, and I didn't get it for months, and I was like, oh, obviously I'm not getting it. And then I randomly got an email and an audition, a interview one day, and I got the job. So obviously, as Paul just said, it looks glamorous a lot of the time, and it is fun. Obviously, you're working at different events. I got to work at so many festivals, concerts, really cool things, but obviously there's a lot of hours. We had to be up at 5 a.m. We were setting up tents and backdrops and random stuff. We had really, really long days. We'd clean out cars. We clean out storage units. There was a lot of organising in our job, but because I kind of did social media in college, and I also was kind of doing TikTok when I started here, I had about 10k. I was able to edit videos, I was able to put stuff together, so that kind of gave me another thing to do at the event. So I would kind of do the reels and update the F104 stories, and obviously starting a job in a radio station and being trusted to do the socials, not all of the socials, but being trusted to do the socials at the events was huge for me. So as I got more and more into the promo team, I began obviously observing the presenters, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. So, and all the presenters here are so encouraging. I remember Graham from Graham and Nathan was like, why are you not on air? And I was like, well, because I'm only here a wet day. But everyone knew that's what I wanted to do. But as I always say, there is a graft. You don't get handed anything. I worked nearly 7 days a week, long hours. Yeah, I enjoyed most of it, but there was days I was exhausted, days that I'd be crying on the loo and not wanting to go to work. But then I ended up doing marketing, sponsorship and promotions, which was a full-time job in the office. So I went from sporadic promo team work to full-time office job, 9 to 5, which was a huge jump for me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to miss doing the events. But then I was like, for my career, this is probably a good next step for me. A lot of media is obviously working hard, but you also kind of have to be in the right place at the right time. I often say that I got lucky, but then people are like, no, you didn't. Like, you worked for where you are. So yeah, that side of the job was, at the time, I didn't realise how much it was going to help me now being a radio presenter. So I basically wrote the scripts for the presenters. So the presenters would do a lot of giveaways. They do a lot of like sponsored like ad reads and that kind of stuff. So I'd be dealing with the clients, dealing with the sales reps, writing up the scripts for them. So like at the time, I didn't realise you're writing scripts for what you're going to be doing in the future. So it really, really helped. I also got to go to all the marketing meetings, and I also got to see such a good insight into the whole business because I got to work with every single department. I was working with marketing, I was working with socials, I was working with the program directors, working with like the high up people in the company. So I really got to see a bit of everything. I also done a lot of reception cover back in the day. So I actually basically done every job there was in the place. And a lot of the time, things would come up for me that they'd be like, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I just kept being like, yes, you're young. Yes, this is money. This is a job. You're stupid to say no. But I just kept being like, no, I want to be on the radio. I understand I can't be on the radio overnight, but I don't want to agree to anything full time because I just had it in my head. You know me. If you know me at all, I manifest. I believe if I want something, I'm going to get it. And that has just been the way I've always been, and it's always worked out for me. So when I was offered certain jobs in here, I was like, maybe I'm being an idiot, but I'm going to say no. I am waiting for that radio slot. So I ended up going in with Tara. Tara Marie does our 10 to 3 show. She's actually currently gone travelling the world. And I used to go in with her every single day. I'd sneak in during my office job. Well, they knew I was doing it. And I'd train up with her. And eventually she started letting me panel for her, which would mean she'd sit on the other side of the desk and she'd talk, but I'd do the desk for her. And at first I was terrified, but she just told me, you need to be hands-on. It's kind of like driving. If you want to learn, you just have to get in there and do it. So eventually then when I felt like I had done enough paneling, I'd also recorded a couple of demos. Mikey, he used to work with us, he's now gone to another radio station. He was so helpful. That's the one thing about in here. Everybody wants to see each other thrive and do well, which is so nice, because a preconception of our industry is that it's really jealous and bitchy, and it can be, but I don't find that it is in here anyway. So eventually then I started doing late nights on the radio. I was doing 12 at night till 2 in the morning. And you know me, I like to post everything that I'm doing. But I said no. I am going to take this now. I'm going to really try and learn and get better and get confident before I go posting this anywhere that I'm doing it. I didn't tell anyone. My family knew, my close friends knew, Uncle Pat knew, but I didn't tell anybody. So that went on from like October to, I want to say, January. And then the 10 to 12 slot became available, which is still quite late at night. But in my opinion, I was like, there's 5 shows on FM104. I now have one of them. But something told me, don't post this. Keep doing it for a couple of months, get more confident. And in my head, I just said, something's coming up for you. I just know it. Sure enough, 7 to 10 became available. At the time, it was called the Hit Mix. And this was mine. This show was going to be mine. Even though I was so fresh into radio, I just said, this is what you've grafted for the whole time. You've done the promo team. You've done the office. You've learned every single thing now you can possibly learn. You've done late night shifts since October. It's now April. This job is yours. So I went into the interview. Not going to lie, I was absolutely shitting myself. I was rattling. I actually printed out, like, not notes, but I printed out, like, ideas I had for the show. To be honest with you, I was very well prepared. And I went in there just the most confident person on the planet. And I remember they asked me, they were like, why do you think you'd be good for this job? And I was like, oh, no, this is my job. Like, I have this job already. Like, there's no other option. Because I remember my mom and dad were like, Kasey, like, we're not trying to like dampen the mood here, but like, you're so fresh, you mightn't get this. And I was like, that's not an option. Like, I'm getting this job. Like, it's literally not an option. But anyways, ended up getting the job. So over the moon. And now I'm so happy that I didn't post that I had it at the, like, when I started off, because this industry is all about patience. You have to be patient, wait for your time, it will come. So yeah, I got my own show. Then there was a big process of like coming up with a name, coming up with ideas. It was so hard to come up with a name, but we finally came up with Locked In, which I think is so fitting for the show. It's such a term that I use all the time. It's a term that all my friends use. Everyone on Love Island uses it. You know, it's just an up-to-date term. So yeah, been doing Locked In now for about 2 months. I absolutely love it. And everyone that's listening in and texting in seems to love it too. So that's basically, in a roundabout way, how I got the job here. Hopefully that gives you some more insight, because I know a lot of you just saw TikTok, radio, job. But yeah, that's my little story. Hopefully it might have inspired some of you, or given you a direction to go in that you want to go in after school, or even just if you're thinking of doing a course. And of course, any more questions, you can just hit me up on Instagram. Anyways, let's get into best case scenario. Today I'm joined with the lovely Kinga. Every week, Best Case Scenario is brought to you by KFC and their Dirty Louisiana Burger, a fan favourite that had us all salivating and is now back. get your hands dirty with the original recipe coated chicken fillet, hash brown, gherkins, 2 cheese slices, smothered in a triple sauce extravaganza of KFC's supercharger sauce, black pepper mayo, and barbecue sauce, all packed into a toasted brioche bun. The Dirty Louisiana Burger is now available at your local KFC for collection or delivery for limited time only. Grab it before it disappears on the 12th of October. KFC's Dirty Louisiana Burger, so indulgent, it's indecent. Okay, guys, here to help me today with the dilemmas is my gorgeous work colleague, Kinga. Welcome to the show. Few claps. Kinga was a bit of a diva beforehand. She wanted to see what she looked like on camera.
Yeah. Guys, I was not expecting this when I came in this morning.
Podcast Paul just dragged her in. But I feel like we're going to have different opinions.
Okay, I hope so.
Yeah, I think usually we do. Whenever we're discussing stuff like this, we have totally opposite opinions, right?
Okay.
So I've got a dilemma in here on Instagram. It's actually quite a long one, so I'm going to try condense it down. But it starts with prepare yourself. So that's always good. Last year, my boyfriend of 5.5 years ended our relationship by ghosting me. Trauma. He was studying in Cork and I travelled up and down to see him every second weekend, and I was broke from doing this, but the things you do for love, yeah, well, I wouldn't be doing that. There was a girl in his master's course that I had always been suspicious of. She was always all over him and often slid into his DMs. We had many fights over it as I wasn't comfortable with how she was around him. She was always all over him, and she even told me that she started to dress like me to impress me. So she was dressing like the girlfriend to impress the girlfriend. Very strange. Fast forward to this year, I finally healed from the situation and reactivated my Instagram account after the breakup to see her confessing her love to him and that they are now together. I knew it. I broke down. I felt like I was back to square one. I contacted our mutual male friend to ask him if he knew, had he been cheating on me the whole time with her, and it turns out he was, and the friend had known the whole time. So, of course, she said that her and the friend met up for drinks, and he confessed that he didn't want to tell her because it would bring her down. He's acting like he did no wrong, but I'm sorry, is this not some kind of joke? Never mind my cheating rat of an ex, relatable, and his gremlin girlfriend, but my best friend of 4 years to do this. Bear in mind, we're in our late 20s, so we're not like early, like teenage years. Should I distance myself and accept that boys stick with boys, regardless of mistakes, or should I basically fall out with this friend? Well, this is a lot of layers to this dilemma.
So basically, the mutual friend she had with that boyfriend knew he was cheating.
The whole time.
Didn't tell her.
Yes. Should she be distancing from this friend, or should she just suck it up and be like, right, boys, stick with boys?
No.
I agree.
Obviously not good enough friend.
No.
Goodbye.
I always say
not
this,
distance.
right?
I would just be like, goodbye forever.
I always say this. If one of my friends was cheating on her boyfriend, you're in a sticky situation, obviously, but I'd be like, look, you tell him or I do, because you can't live with that. Like,
yeah, I'd be the same.
Especially after 5.5 years.
Yeah, whatever about the ex and the girl, I would completely just, I know it's like easier said than done, but completely out of my head, no energy given at all. Goodbye. Enjoy.
This is where you get the scissors. You snip out this person. Because
enjoy whatever. Hope you're happy. Goodbye.
Yeah.
At least no more time wasted. But that friend, no, how would you trust them again?
Exactly.
You know?
Because if you were with someone 5.5 years and your friend allowed them to cheat on you, like, you could have potentially stayed with this fella. Well, actually you couldn't because he ghosted you, but let's just say you did. You would never have known. And
his excuse was that he didn't want to bring her down.
Yeah, like hurt her.
So eventually, anyway, that would happen. So
exactly,
he prolonged her bubble of like not knowing anything. So yeah, that's worse.
She actually also said in his dilemma, when she reactivated her Instagram and she's seen them together, she commented just saying lol, just to let them both know that she knew, which I think, you know what, be petty. Bring back pettiness 2025.
I would say no. Don't give them the satisfaction of being like, I'm thinking about you and you are probably in my head for that week now or the day and you ruin my mood. Cut out of my life straight away if someone does something like, if that was me, I would just dead to me in a way. Yeah. Move on. Goodbye.
Adios. In conclusion, I think you've dodged a bullet there. Forget about the two, the rat and the gremlin. I love those names. And for the friend, that's not a friend, that's a goner. Okay, second dilemma. So this one is kind of relatable to us because it's about work colleagues.
Okay.
Me and Kinga are colleagues. You might have seen What are you gasping for, Paul? Sorry, Paul's here as well. He's a colleague too. But I like to call him the plague, the never-ending plague. Me and Kinga, you might have seen, we went all together now together.
Yes.
We were in the cottage.
We trauma bonded a lot.
We did.
So,
there were many insects in that cottage that we had to kill. I actually think you and Chloe were worse. Chloe also works with us.
Yeah.
Worse than me?
Yeah, I mean, I had a slug. So
yeah, she got the slug. I killed the spiders.
I was the slug girl. You were the spider girl.
It was great crack. Yeah. So let's see what we make of this one. So I've been really, really close with a friend from work for the past 3 years. We hang out outside the office, go for drinks, and I've trusted her with loads of personal stuff. Recently, I found out she's been telling other colleagues details about my breakup and things I've told her in confidence. When I confronted her, she said she didn't think it was a big deal and that she was just venting. But to me, it feels like a huge betrayal, especially because I've defended her when people said she was two-faced. Now I don't know if I can trust her again. Do I distance myself and just keep it professional, or try to patch things up since we see each other every day anyways? This sounds just like Paul.
Can I trust her? What do you think? No. Can't trust. Be friendly. Just don't say anything personal anymore. Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to be just professional and awkward. You can still be friends, but you're not getting that part of my life that you betrayed.
Yeah.
My confidence.
I think it's so easy in work to like not fall into a trap, but like I would trauma dump to everyone in here. Yeah. I'd be like, guess what happened to me? Like I tell everyone everything. Yeah. And like you think that your work friends are your friends your whole life. Like I love everyone at work, but you only know them a short amount of time.
But you also do think that like what you're saying, you kind of have a sense of a topic that you don't go and say something to someone. Or if it's something innocent, you can say you know. Well, you should know. Yeah. Some people obviously do not know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she obviously doesn't have that judgment of, okay, that was personal. That was something that obviously I would not tell anyone because she shared it only to me. Yeah. Other than that, like, I don't know, like I hate pasta or something. Like something stupid that you can tell everyone. In the office.
Because especially because it says in the dilemma that other people in the office has said that she is two-faced. So like other people are thinking this. But I know from experience, like I tell people in work so much private stuff and like nothing's ever got said back to me, so I feel like I luckily can trust people in my work, but it's looking like you're gonna have to just still be friends with her, like don't fall out with her over it, but probably not tell her anything like too personal. Yeah, I agree. And I disagree on the whole, like you can definitely make friends in work that you have for the rest of your life. Why are you shaking your head, Paul? Yeah, Paul, I've been trying to convince Paul of this. Do you not agree?
About friends at work?
Yeah.
I'm still friends with people I worked with in my 20s. Okay. I'm in my 40s. We know you're old, you're pushing it. Yeah, I don't want to make friends at work. I want to go to work and come home. Oh, you sound like the people that go on Love Island and they're like, this is not Friendship Island. Yeah. Yeah, basically I just I think you're all lovely, but I've got tons of friends. Oh. Well, I mean, I suppose if you do feel like you have enough friends and you can't take on any more, fair. Well, for someone that doesn't want to be our friend, you text me an awful lot. I'm producing your podcast. Okay, whatever. Okay, bottom line is, guys, don't listen to Paul ever. And be friends on a professional... I would consider you friends. Okay, thanks. But I don't want to hang out with you afterward. Okay. Well, whenever I win any podcast awards, you're not getting a shout out, okay? Guys, thank you for sending in your dilemmas. I really want some more next week. These have been juicy, so keep them coming. They're good. To On The Case Pod at... What's my podcast called? On The Case Pod. TikTok, Instagram, and onthecasepod@gmail.com. And thank you to Kinga for coming in. Thank you. You've been very helpful. Guys. And special thanks to KFC and their Dirty Louisiana burger. Thanks so much for Kinga to coming on and helping out with our dilemmas today. She was actually a bit of a diva, people, but you know what? She gave us some good advice. Also, I hope all my little career insights helped. Also, the stuff that Paul told us. I know he's like miles older than me. Like he's literally could be my dad at this point. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. New episodes out every single Wednesday. You can tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can watch on YouTube. On The Case is an Onic original podcast hosted by me, Kasey Campion. Audio and visual design by Stephen King O'Farrell and Connor Daly. Developed and produced by series producer Paul McGregor. Executive producer Sasha Hamrogue. New episodes of On The Case come out every Wednesday on all podcast platforms, and you can watch full episodes on YouTube. Thanks for listening. This is an Onic original podcast.